Commander Zethkar sat in the white room and looked at the strange creature across from him. The human female had dark hair and wore a simple blue uniform. She called herself Elena Martinez. Her eyes were brown and seemed tired, like she had seen too many bad things. The room was clean and bright. Too bright for Zethkar's taste. His own people liked darker places. The chair was too small for his large body, but it was not uncomfortable. The humans had been kind to him since his capture 3 days ago. This confused him. In his world, prisoners were treated much differently. Elena placed a small device on the table between them. It glowed with a soft blue light. "This will translate our words," she said in a calm voice. "I want to understand your people better." Zethkar laughed, a deep sound that made Elena blink. "You want military secrets from me? I am a warrior of the Valorian Empire. I will tell you nothing about our ships or weapons." Elena shook her head. "I don't want your military secrets. I want to know about you, about how your people fight wars." This was strange. Zethkar had expected torture or drugs to make him talk. Instead, this human offered him water and asked simple questions. "What do you mean?" He asked. Elena touched the device, and pictures appeared in the air above it. Zethkar had heard humans had this technology, but seeing it was different. The pictures moved like real life. They showed humans in strange clothes fighting with primitive weapons. "This is how my people learned to fight," Elena said. "We call this World War II. It happened about 80 years ago." Zethkar watched the moving pictures with growing confusion. The humans were using weapons that threw small metal pieces. They had no energy shields or plasma cannons. They rode in metal vehicles that moved on wheels instead of floating. It looked like something from the ancient past. "Why do you show me this old history?" Zethkar asked. "Your people have better weapons now." Elena's face became serious. "Because this is where we learned what war really means." The pictures changed. Now Zethkar saw a frozen city covered in snow and ice. Buildings were broken and burning. Humans in thick coats moved through the ruins, carrying their simple weapons. They looked cold and hungry, but they kept fighting. "This place was called Stalingrad," Elena said. The fighting lasted for months. Both sides lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers, but neither side would give up. Zethkar studied the images. In Valorian warfare, battles were quick and clean. 2 armies met, one won, the other retreated. This looked like madness. Why did they not surrender when they saw they could not win? Elena looked at him with those tired eyes. "That's what I'm trying to help you understand. Humans don't surrender easily, even when we should." The pictures showed human soldiers fighting in destroyed buildings. They used broken walls for cover and fired at enemies they could barely see. Some were wounded but still fought. Others carried their injured friends to safety while bullets flew around them. "Look at their faces," Elena said softly. Zethkar looked closer. The human soldiers looked afraid, but they also looked determined. They had a look in their eyes that he recognized from his own veterans. But these humans were so young. Many looked barely old enough to be warriors. "How old are they?" he asked. "Some were only 18 or 19 years old," Elena replied. "Children, really." In Valorian society, warriors trained for 30 years before seeing real combat. These human children were fighting a war that would make veteran Valorian soldiers think twice. The pictures changed again. Now he saw humans digging tunnels in the frozen ground. They lived in holes like animals, but they kept fighting. They shared food and water, even when they had almost nothing. When one fell, another took his weapon and continued the battle. "The winter was so cold that weapons stopped working," Elena continued. "Soldiers fought with knives and tools. Some fought with their bare hands. The city became a graveyard, but neither side would leave. Zethkar felt something cold in his stomach. This was not warfare as he knew it. This was something else. Something darker. How did it end? One side finally broke. But it took months. And the cost? Elena paused, looking at the images. The cost was terrible for everyone. The pictures faded, leaving them in the bright white room again. Zethkar sat quietly, thinking about what he had seen. His own people were proud warriors, but they fought with honor and strategy. What he had just witnessed was not honorable warfare. It was survival at any cost. Why do you show me this? He asked again. Elena leaned forward. Because I want you to understand something important. This is not how humans fight aliens. This is how humans fight each other. The words hit Zethkar like a physical blow. These images showed humans fighting other humans. Not aliens or monsters, but their own kind. And they fought with a level of determination that seemed almost insane. Your own species? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Elena nodded. We spent thousands of years fighting ourselves. We learned warfare by practicing on each other. Every technique, every strategy, every desperate trick you can imagine. We learned it by fighting our own people. Zethkar thought about the Valorian invasion fleet heading toward human space. His commanders believed humans were weak because they used primitive tactics against the Kethalani raiders. But now he wondered if those tactics only seemed primitive because the humans were holding back. Tomorrow I want to show you more, Elena said, standing up. I want you to understand what your people are really flying toward. 2 human guards appeared to escort Zethkar back to his quarters. They were polite but alert. As he walked through the ship's corridors, he noticed other things. The humans moved with quiet efficiency. Their ship was clean and well maintained. Everyone he saw looked professional and ready, but now he also saw something else in their eyes. The same look he had seen in those old pictures from Stalingrad. These humans had learned something from their wars with each other, something that made them different from every other species in the galaxy. That night, lying in his comfortable bed, Zethkar stared at the ceiling and thought about frozen humans fighting in ruins. He thought about children soldiers who would not surrender even when surrender made sense. He thought about a species that learned warfare by fighting itself for thousands of years. For the first time since his capture, Commander Zethkar felt afraid, not for himself, but for the Valorian fleet coming to conquer these strange, persistent creatures who called themselves human. The next morning, Zethkar sat in the same white room. He had not slept well. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw images of human children fighting in frozen ruins. Elena Martinez looked the same as before, tired but alert. Today she was not. Alone, a new human appeared in the air above the blue device. This one was older, with gray hair and many lines on his face. He wore a different uniform, green instead of blue. His eyes held the same tired look as Elena's, but stronger. This is Colonel Jake Morrison, Elena said. He studies human wars and how we fight them. Morrison smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Commander Zethkar, I hear Elena showed you Stalingrad yesterday. What did you think? Zethkar was still confused by human politeness. I thought your people were insane. Why fight so hard for a pile of broken stones? Morrison laughed, a sound without joy. That's what everyone asks. But you're thinking about it wrong. We weren't fighting for the city. We were fighting for what the city meant. I do not understand, Zethkar said. Elena touched her device again. New pictures appeared. This time, Zethkar saw thick green forests and hot, wet places unlike anything. On his home world, human soldiers moved through the trees like shadows. They were dirty and thin, but their eyes were alert. "This is Vietnam," Morrison said. "Another war we fought against ourselves, in a way. Some humans helped other humans fight different humans." The pictures showed something that made Zethkar lean forward. These humans were not fighting in lines like proper soldiers. They hid in trees and holes in the ground. They attacked and then disappeared. They used traps and tricks instead of honest battle. "This is not honorable warfare," Zethkar said. Morrison's laugh was bitter. "Honor is a luxury, Commander." These soldiers didn't have luxury. The images showed human soldiers, many even younger than those at Stalingrad, moving through hot jungle, carrying heavy packs. Their faces were covered in mud and sweat. Some looked sick, but they kept moving, kept fighting. "The trees never ended," Morrison explained. "The enemy was everywhere and nowhere. Every step could be your last. Every sound could mean death." Zethkar watched humans digging complicated tunnels underground. The tunnels went for miles, with rooms and passages like an underground city. "They lived like insects," he said. "They lived like survivors," Elena corrected. "Watch this." The picture showed an attack on a human base. Enemies came from the tunnels, from the trees, from holes in the ground. The attack lasted all night. Humans fought back with everything they had. When morning came, both sides had lost. Many soldiers, but neither side had won. "This happened over and over," Morrison said, "for years. Both sides learned to adapt, to change, to find new ways to fight." "How long did this war last?" Zethkar asked. "About 10 years," Elena replied. 10 years. In Valorian warfare, campaigns lasted weeks or months at most. The idea of fighting the same war for 10 years was impossible to imagine. Morrison touched something on his end, and the pictures changed again. Now Zethkar saw small groups of humans moving at night. They carried strange devices and moved without making sound. They attacked quickly and then vanished back into the darkness. "Special forces," Morrison explained. "Humans who learned to fight like ghosts. They could appear anywhere, strike fast, and disappear before the enemy knew they were there." "But why show me this old history?" Zethkar asked. "Surely your people fight differently now." Morrison and Elena looked at each other. Elena nodded, and Morrison continued. "Let me show you something more recent," Morrison said. The pictures changed to show hot, dry places with sand and rocks. Human soldiers moved through cities made of brown stone buildings. But they fought the same way as in the jungle, hiding, attacking suddenly, using tricks and traps. "This is Iraq and Afghanistan," Morrison said. "Wars we fought just 20 years ago. Notice anything familiar?" Zethkar did notice. The humans still moved like shadows. They still adapted to any environment. They still fought with the same determination he had seen in Stalingrad and Vietnam. "You see, Commander," Elena said, "humans don't just learn to fight. We learn to fight anywhere, against anyone, using anything." The pictures showed human soldiers learning new skills in days. When enemies used bombs hidden in roads, humans learned to find them. When enemies hid in crowds, humans learned to spot them. When enemies changed tactics, humans changed faster. "How do you learn so quickly?" Zethkar asked. Morrison leaned forward in his image. "Because we've been doing this for thousands of years. Every war teaches us something new. Every fight makes us better at the next fight." "But these wars," Zethkar said, pointing at the fading images, "they are all against other humans, other creatures like yourselves." "Exactly," Elena said quietly. "We learn to fight by fighting ourselves. We know every trick because we invented every trick. We know every strategy because we've used every strategy." Zethkar felt that cold feeling in his stomach again. What does this mean? Morrison's image flickered as he adjusted something. It means, Commander, that humans have spent centuries learning to fight creatures who are exactly as smart, exactly as adaptable, and exactly as determined as we are. And now, Elena continued, for the first time in our history, we get to use everything we learned against someone who is not human. The room fell silent. Zethkar stared at the empty air where the pictures had been. He thought about his own people's military training. Valorians learned set patterns and followed ancient strategies. They fought with honor and expected their enemies to do the same. But these humans had learned to fight. Creatures who broke every rule, who used every trick, who never gave up no matter how hopeless things looked. They had learned to fight themselves. Tomorrow, Elena said, standing up, I want to show you how we fight now. How we've taken everything we learned from fighting each other and made it better. As Zethkar walked back to his quarters, he thought about jungle fighters who lived in tunnels and city fighters who moved like ghosts. He thought about a species that spent thousands of years teaching itself to be better at war. The Valorian. Fleet was still coming. His people still believed they were attacking a primitive species that got lucky once. But Zethkar was beginning to understand a terrible truth. Humans had not gotten lucky. They had done what they always did. They had adapted, learned, and won. And they had been practicing for this moment for their entire history. On the third day, Zethkar entered the white room and found 3 humans waiting for him. Elena Martinez sat in her usual place, but now Colonel Morrison appeared as a solid image instead of just light. Next to them sat a new human female with short blonde hair and kind eyes. This is Dr. Lisa Chun, Elena said. She studies how human soldiers think and feel during war. Dr. Chun smiled at Zethkar, but her smile was sad. I help soldiers deal with the things they see in battle, the things that stay in their minds long after the fighting ends. Zethkar nodded politely, though he was confused. In Valorian culture, warriors were expected to forget bad memories quickly. Dwelling on past battles was seen as weakness. Today we want to show you something different, Elena said, touching her device. We want you to understand how humans fight together. The pictures that appeared were clearer than before. Zethkar saw human soldiers in desert clothing moving through sandy streets. Buildings around them were damaged, and smoke rose from several places. The humans moved in small groups, always watching each other's backs. This is Iraq, about 15 years ago, Dr. Chun explained. Watch how they work together. Zethkar observed the humans carefully. When one soldier moved forward, others covered him with their weapons. When someone got hurt, the others immediately came to help, even when it put them in danger. No one was left alone. In your military, Dr. Chun asked, what happens when a soldier is wounded in battle? If the mission allows, we retrieve them, Zethkar replied. If not, they must be left behind. The mission comes first. The 3 humans exchanged glances. Morrison leaned forward. Humans have a saying, leave no one behind. We mean it literally. The pictures changed to show something that shocked Zethkar. A human soldier had been shot and could not walk. Instead of leaving him, 5 other soldiers carried him while enemy fire hit the ground around them. They moved slowly because of the wounded soldier, making themselves easy targets. This is foolish, Zethkar said. They risk many lives for one wounded soldier. Maybe, Elena said, but watch what happens next. The soldiers reached safety, but the wounded man died despite their efforts. Zethkar expected the others to continue their mission, but instead they sat with their dead friend for several minutes. Some had water running from their eyes. They are crying, Dr. Chun said softly. Humans cry when someone they care about dies. Even soldiers? Zethkar asked. Especially soldiers, Morrison replied, because soldiers depend on each other more than anyone else. The pictures changed again. Now Zethkar saw interviews with human soldiers. Dr. Chun translated their words. As they spoke, "This is Sergeant Carlos Rodriguez," she said. "He fought in Afghanistan. Listen to what he says about his unit." The human on screen was young, but his eyes looked old. "My squad was my family," he said. "We lived together, fought together, almost died together. I would do anything for those guys. Anything." Another soldier appeared, a female with scars on her face. "Captain Amanda Thompson," Dr. Chun said. "She led a unit that was surrounded by enemies for 3 days. We ran out of food and water," Captain Thompson said in the recording. "But nobody talked about surrendering. We knew if we gave up, we would never see our families again. So we kept fighting." Zethkar watched more interviews. Every human soldier said the same things. They fought not just for victory, but for the soldiers next to them. They formed bonds stronger than family. They would die before letting their friends down. "This is very different from our way," Zethkar admitted. "Valorian soldiers fight for honor and empire. These humans fight for each other. And that makes them stronger," Elena said. "A human soldier will do impossible things to save his friends." The pictures showed something that proved her point. A human camp was under attack. At night, one soldier ran through enemy fire to reach a fallen friend. He was shot twice, but kept going. When he reached the wounded soldier, he carried him back to safety before collapsing himself. "Both soldiers lived," Dr. Chon said. "And the man who did the rescuing went back to fighting 2 days later." Morrison activated new images. "Now let me show you something that should really worry you." These pictures were different. They showed humans fighting creatures that were clearly not human. The aliens were tall and thin with strange weapons that shot bright energy beams. "The Kethalani Raiders," Elena said. "Our first contact with hostile aliens. This happened 3 years ago." Zethkar knew about the Kethalani. They were fierce raiders who had attacked several worlds. He had not known they had fought humans. "Watch carefully," Morrison said. "The battle was chaotic. Kethalani ships attacked a human colony world. Their weapons were much better than human weapons. They should have won easily. But something strange happened. The humans did not fight like Valorians would have fought. They did not form battle lines or follow standard tactics. Instead, they broke into small groups and attacked from everywhere at once. When the Kethalani tried to chase one group, another group attacked from behind. Look at this part, Elena," sighed, pointing to one section of the battle. A human named Captain Ryan Burke was leading a group of soldiers against a Kethalani position. The aliens had better weapons and better armor. Burke's solution was simple and insane. He drove a vehicle directly into the alien line, jumped out, and started fighting hand to hand. He used their own weapon against them, Morrison explained. As the image showed Burke grabbing a Kethalani energy rifle and using it to attack other aliens. But the most important part, Dr. Chon added, is how quickly they learned. The pictures showed the same battle from different times. Early in the fight, humans were confused and losing badly. But within hours, they had figured out how Kethalani weapons worked, where their armor was weak, and how to predict their movements. By the end of the first day, Elena said, human soldiers were teaching each other how to kill Kethalani. Zethkar stared at the images. They adapted to alien technology in 1 day. They adapted to alien tactics in hours, Morrison corrected. By the second day, they were winning. The final pictures showed the end of the battle. The Kethalani, who had never lost a raid before, were retreating. Human soldiers stood among the wreckage, already learning to use captured alien equipment. The Kethalani never came back, Elena said quietly. Word spread among the raider clans that humans were too dangerous to attack. Dr. Chun leaned forward. Do you understand what this means, Commander? Sethkar did understand, and it terrified him. It means humans learn to fight aliens by fighting aliens, just like they learned to fight everything else. Exactly, Morrison said. And now we know that alien weapons and alien tactics are not so different from human weapons and human tactics. Elena stood up, signaling the end of the session. Tomorrow, Commander, we want to show you what your people are really flying toward. As Sethkar walked back to his quarters, his mind raced with terrible thoughts. The Valorian Empire had studied human tactics against the Cathalani and decided they were primitive but lucky. Now he knew the truth. The humans had not been primitive. They had been learning dot, and tomorrow, Elena would show him what they had learned. On the fourth day, Sethkar was taken to a different room. This one was larger and had big windows showing the stars outside. Elena Martinez was there, but she was not alone. 3 new humans sat around a metal table. Their uniforms were different from the others, with more decorations and marks of rank. Commander Sethkar, Elena said. These are Admiral Patricia Wells, General Kevin Brooks, and Colonel Mary Foster. They command human military forces. The 3 humans studied Sethkar with careful eyes. He felt like he was being measured and weighed. Admiral Wells was an older female with gray hair and scars on her hands. General Brooks was a large male, who looked like he had seen many battles. Colonel Foster was younger, but her eyes were as hard as the others. Sit down, Commander, Admiral Wells said. Her voice was polite but firm. We have important things to discuss. Sethkar sat in the chair across from them. Elena activated her device, but this time the pictures showed something different. They showed human factories and shipyards. Thousands of humans worked on weapons and vehicles. Tell me, General Brooks said, what do you think of our industrial capacity? Sethkar studied the images. The human factories were huge and busy. Workers moved quickly and efficiently. New ships and weapons rolled off production lines every day. It is impressive, he admitted. These factories were making civilian products. Last year, Colonel Foster said, cars, computers, household items. When we learned about the Valorian fleet approaching our space, we converted them to military production in 3 months. 3 months. The Valorian Empire would need years to make such changes. How is this possible? Sethkar asked. Because we've done it before, Elena explained. Many times throughout our history. When humans face a threat, we can change our entire society very quickly. Admiral Wells touched the device, and new pictures appeared. These showed human training. Camps. Thousands of humans who looked like normal civilians were learning to use weapons and fight. They moved awkwardly at first, but the images showed their progress over weeks. These people were farmers, teachers, factory workers, and store clerks 6 months ago, Admiral Wells said. Now they are soldiers. You train civilians to fight? Sethkar asked, shocked. In Valorian society, only the warrior class learned combat. We train everyone to fight, General Brooks replied. Every human adult knows basic combat skills. In times of war, our entire population becomes our army. The pictures changed to show something that made Sethkar's blood run cold. Human children, no more than 16 years old, were learning to use weapons and explosives. They moved with the same determination he had seen in all the human soldiers. Even your young ones? He whispered. If someone threatens human worlds, Colonel Foster said, every human becomes a defender. Age doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. Only survival matters. Elena activated new images that showed human space stations and asteroid bases. Each one bristled with weapons and swarmed with human ships. We've been preparing for 6 months since we detected your fleet. Our scouts reported only a few human worlds with light defenses, Zethkar said. Admiral Wells smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see. Watch this. The pictures showed what looked like peaceful human colonies. Farms, cities, and quiet spaceports. But then the images changed, showing the same places from different angles. Hidden underground were massive military bases. Weapon systems rose from fake buildings. Civilian ships transformed into warships. Every human world is now a fortress, General Brooks explained. Every civilian is now a soldier. Every building could hide weapons. Zethkar felt sick. You turned your entire civilization into a military machine. We've done it before, Elena said quietly. When faced with threats to our survival, humans can become something that scares even ourselves. Colonel Morrison appeared as an image. Commander, do you remember what I told you about human adaptation? How quickly we learn. Zethkar nodded. We've had 6 months to study Valorian technology from your captured ship, Morrison continued. We understand your weapons, your armor, your tactics. We've already developed countermeasures. Admiral Wells activated the device again. This time the pictures showed human weapons that looked similar to Valorian designs, but different. We took your technology and made it better, she said. You stole our designs? Zethkar asked. We improved your designs, General Brooks corrected. Just like we improved Kethalani designs 3 years ago. Humans are very good at taking other people's ideas and making them work better. Elena leaned forward. Commander, I need you to understand something. Everything we've shown you over the past 4 days has been leading to this moment. She activated one final recording. A human male in a military uniform appeared. He had the same tired eyes as all the others, but his voice was calm and strong. This is Admiral Tony Martinez, Elena said softly. My brother. He commands our defense. Fleet. Admiral Martinez looked directly at the recording device. To the commanders of the Valorian invasion fleet. My name is Admiral Tony Martinez of the Human Defense Force. I am sending this message as a final warning. Zethkar listened as the human admiral spoke with quiet confidence. You believe you are attacking a primitive species that got lucky against some raiders. You are wrong. You are attacking a species that spent 10,000 years learning how to fight wars against creatures exactly like ourselves. Intelligent, adaptable, determined. The admiral paused, and when he continued, his voice was harder. We learned warfare by fighting ourselves. We know every trick because we invented every trick. We know every strategy because we've used every strategy. We know how to fight in space, on planets, in cities, in forests, in deserts, and in places you can't imagine. Zethkar felt cold fear spreading through his body. We have turned our entire civilization into a weapon pointed at your fleet, Admiral Martinez continued. Every human world is ready to fight. Every human civilian is ready to die rather than surrender. We have studied your technology and improved it. We have prepared for your arrival for months. The Admiral leaned closer to the recording device. But we are not monsters. We are giving you this one chance to turn your fleet around and go home. We will not pursue you. We will not attack your worlds. We will let you leave in peace. Admiral Martinez's expression became grim. But if you continue toward human space, you will face something no species in the galaxy has ever faced before. You will face humans who are fighting for their survival. And Commander, let me tell you something about humans fighting for survival. We don't lose. The recording ended. The room fell silent. Zethkar stared at the empty air where Admiral Martinez had been speaking. Your fleet will arrive in 4 months, Elena said quietly. We're offering you transport back to Valorian space to deliver this message to your commanders. Admiral Wells stood up. Tell them we offered peace first, Commander. Tell them we warned them. Will they listen? Elena asked, Zefkar thought. About his proud people, about their confidence in their military might, about their belief that humans were primitive creatures. He thought about everything he had learned in the past 4 days. No, he said finally. They will not listen. They will think this is human fear and bluffing. General Brooks nodded sadly. Then we will show them what humans really are. As Zefkar was escorted to a transport ship that would take him home, he realized the terrible truth. The humans were not trying to scare the Valorian Empire. They were trying to save them, because a species that learned warfare by fighting itself had no concept of holding back against outside threats. The war was coming, and for the first time in his life, Commander Zefkar feared for his people.